Okay, welcome to the third video in the Educational Uses of Educreation series, and this video is going to focus on text annotation. So, text annotation basically refers to just marking a text with words, symbols, and color in order to track thinking when you're reading. And it involves identifying key concepts, important ideas, making connections, asking questions, identifying areas of confusion, and it really tracks the reader's reaction when viewing a text. So why actually focus on this strategy, and why might you consider integrating it into your classroom? Well, annotation has been found to promote active reading and help readers visualize and monitor their comprehension as they read. The development of advanced literacy skills has been identified by Murnane, Sawhill, and Snow 2012 as a necessity for success in the 21st century. So when students annotate a text, they critically examine the text, and that provides a window into their thinking. Annotations can also be shared with others in order to compare and contrast your understanding of a particular text. So while the concept of annotation seems simple, it's a skill that takes time and practice to develop. So it doesn't come naturally, especially to novice learners or students in the elementary panel and even into the high school. So in order to help learners use annotation as an effective reading strategy, the following instructional sequence is suggested. So I'm just going to go through some different activities and modeling that should occur if students are going to be able to use this strategy independently when reading. So first, expository texts such as those encountered perhaps in subjects such as science, social sciences, as well as the vast amount of information online, deals with non-fiction material, and they use features such as headings, subheadings, bullets, and visual representations to present concepts. And these text features, though, they assist the reader in determining text organization, activating background knowledge, but novice learners or struggling readers typically have limited exposure to these features, as we usually encounter narrative forms of writing in the classroom, and yet the vast amount of information out there is in a expository form. So it's important for educators to help students first identify and recognize the purpose of these different text features when reading. So for example, how can a heading help you? What's the purpose of a subheading? The importance of graphics and captions all need to be examined. So this can be achieved, though, by involving students in the process of actively searching for these examples in their different books and materials that they're encountering online, and then having a critical discussion about what was their purpose and how did they help. So once students are able to identify the purpose of text features, educators should next model for students how to use them to skim and scan a text. So as each text feature is identified, students are encouraged to make predictions about content and generate questions based on those textual clues. And this is kind of like a guided text walk, and this allows readers to focus on the organization of information and make some predictions about what they're going to be learning. This strategy has also been found by Kelly and Claus and Grace 2002 to help front load vocabulary and concepts, and helps to activate that background knowledge and establish a purpose for reading. So the final step then is to actually model for students how to track or annotate their thinking while reading. So for instance, developing a series of symbols can help students quickly track their thinking. So for example, areas where students wonder something or they're questioning something in the text, they can simply use a question mark in that area to refer to later. But it's also important that at each stage in the annotation process, while the teacher's modeling it, that students need to be provided with multiple opportunities to actually practice this strategy in a range of contexts. So it's not enough to just have the students sit back and watch someone modeling. They have to experience it and practice it as well. So text annotations can be enhanced using Educreations. So for example, students can easily annotate information from a book or an image by taking a picture and then using the pen, text, and record features to track their thinking. The fact that the annotations are digital allows students to review their thinking anytime, anywhere, even after perhaps a book, for instance in the classroom, has been collected. Okay? In addition, the ability to record voice can support those students who are struggling writers. So this in turn makes the internal dialogue that students have while reading visible to the teacher. Okay, so sometimes when students are reading, we often don't know what thinking is going through their head. They could be decoding their words, but whether or not comprehension is occurring is difficult for the teacher. However, if students are recording this process and they're thinking as they read, it gives the teacher some insight to help with future planning to support students. Okay, and then the ability to actually be able to share these annotations also allows students to experience and consider the perspectives of their peers, and as well as ask questions of them and offer feedback later. So I'm just going to share an example then of how students practice some annotation. So in this particular example, students were asked to select an image depicting one of the groups in the early colonization of New France and just interpret what was being depicted. So using Educreations, students would take a picture of the image, it could be a piece of text as well, to be discussed. They would then preview any text features and record any connection or questions that they had. So the pen feature is used to draw attention to certain areas of the text while the student records their thinking. And then finally, students could upload their annotation to the class website, and other students were able to pose questions to their peers in a discussion board and discuss any new insights they obtained after listening to the annotations of their peers. So it's a way to really promote some critical discussion of the same material amongst a diversity of people. So you get to see several perspectives and new insights. So again, the following is an example of one student's thinking.
I think this picture is showing the early contact between the First Nations and Europeans. In the picture, there is a missionary because he has a black robe and is holding up a cross. The other people are First Nations. I kind of know that because I can see peace pipes and headgear. The missionary is probably trying to convert the First Nations to Christianity. I think this because I remember learning that Europeans thought First Nations weren't really as civilized. I'm sort of confused how they're feeling because some of their arms crossed, so they might not like this message. But then again, most of them are just sitting and seem pretty relaxed.